this is Gary and Lila. YouTube channel is called Just Us, Gary and Lila. And we have a big blended family. Let's get into what we're here to talk about tonight. So in my divorce agreement, the holidays were all spelt out in there, and it was very fair. You know, every other holiday you got. So one year I had Christmas Eve, she had Christmas Day. The next year it flip-flopped. I had I had New Year's Day, she had New Year's Eve. The next year that flip-flopped, and so on. And then, it was Thanksgiving.
She got Mother's Day, you got Father's Day.
Yeah. So that went on for, so it only goes until the child ages out. Well, Elise was
2 years.
She was 16 when we got married. So it only went for a couple of years. And then it was over. Well, so what happened is we would, try to plan these holiday events. And then invariably, my ex-wife would, not plan hers. She didn't want to coordinate anything. I'd call, I'd text, I'd write, but I could not coordinate anything with her. It was like talking to a stone wall. And so we'd go ahead and plan ours. We'd wait till a couple of weeks before the holiday and be like, well, we can't wait anymore because there's a whole bunch of other people involved. Let's plan it. Mm-hmm. So we'd say, okay, we're having Christmas Day at 1 p.m. We'd find out a few days before Christmas that my kids had to leave at 2 because their mother had scheduled her thing at 2, and she was, for whatever reason, they had to be there at 2 o'clock because dinner was served. So not only couldn't they eat with us, but they, had to leave right away after an hour, and then they'd say, well, we'll be back, though. We'll come back after the whole event.
With you guys,
we'll have pie.
Dessert. We'll come back for.
But then she'd keep them and want to watch movies, and so if they did get back, a lot of times some of the other kids had been gone, and like our whole thing was to try to get everybody together in one house for a holiday, and that made it very difficult. And so what we did is we printed up these cards, and I'll put it up on the screen here so you can see. Yeah. So it was a photograph of, a
family picture.
Family picture, yeah. And so I printed these cards, and on the back side was the schedule for all the holidays, and it was just a continuation of the schedule that I had during all these other years where we were divorced, which was really only a couple of years I was divorced.
Following the divorce decree, so that it would go on for another 5 years with the switch off to make it fair so that everybody could plan and be prepared instead of last minute finding, okay, well, gee, we didn't get them this year because actually they went over there an hour later to their mother's house.
So that we passed them all out, and everybody seemed fairly okay with it. There was a few groans, but at any rate, it seemed fair, I think, to all the kids. Mm-hmm. But it never really worked out. We always said that's when we're having it, and that was the time we would have it and everything, and we would do it but still the same thing would happen. Last minute, my ex-wife would schedule hers on the same day, very close to the same time, and so my kids would have to typically either not be able to come or
would be there for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, show up really early or show up late. And so this continues to persist as a problem in our family, that we cannot seem to get it together where the holidays work out for everyone. It's like Lincoln said, it's really hard to please all the people all the time, and that's what we got going with holidays, I think, because now there's all these other parents involved with each kid.
5 out of 6 children are married, and so when you talk about also
in-laws,
the in-laws side of the family getting together for Thanksgiving or for Christmas, you also have to be considerate, and so you have to take it to the point where you say, okay, let's get the stress lower, and do we want to meet at a week that's like 1 week later than Thanksgiving or 1 week earlier, or
so we actually got together this year on December 22nd for Christmas, and that was a Saturday, and so it was great. I mean, there was no stress to go anywhere else. There was really no reason to not show up. There was no snowstorm that day or anything like that, and so it really worked out well.
I gotta say that there's a small piece of it that we're in a way fortunate that I don't have my ex-husband vying for my kids time at the holidays, because if we both had an ex that said no, my time with them comes first, we'd really be having a hard time. My ex has moved away out of state. He contacts the kids a couple times a year, and it's just, he has a separate relationship with them, but it's never around their birthday or holidays, so we don't have to fight on that aspect.
Yeah.
So, I guess that makes it a little easier.
Little easier, yeah. So keeping the giving fair. What we do is we spend exactly the same amount on every one of our grandchildren, whether they're step-grandchildren, kids that we don't even see very often or whatever. They all get the same. We spend the same. They don't get the same present. We tried that, but we gave all of our kids robes one year.
And we gave the boys tool sets.
Yeah.
Ryobi tool sets that had like 3 different things in it, So yeah, they appreciated the gifts. They were always, happy to get them. And
we give the parents, some gifts that we wrap up for them, and then we also give the kids. We each give them a gift bag, and there's several things in there. And this year, I think each child totaled $35. Well, when you're talking about 12 grandkids,
it was more than that. But
it was more than that.
It was for the adult children. I went out and I spent about $35-$40 for little items to go in a gift bag for the adult children in our family and our son-in-laws.
What about the little
daughter-in-laws.
kids then?
The little children, it probably was about, I would say it's like between $75 to $80 by the time I was completely done with every little item that was in there.
No wonder I'm so broke.
I start buying way in advance, so I'm prepared.
This is Mrs. Christmas here. She loves these grandkids, and she loves buying them presents, and she's got a really big heart, bigger than mine for sure.
I find ways to really save money, so it probably actually wasn't that much per child because of the fact that, like, they each got a Disney movie. Well, I joined the Disney movie club, and I got 7 free movies.
Yeah, but folks, I'm here to tell you, I'm unemployed. I've been unemployed for a long time. I got laid off from my last job, and it's been the better part of 1 year since I've worked, and it's hard to find work when you're my age. And in fact, there's age discrimination out there is unbelievable. So for us to spend that kind of money on Christmas, it was difficult, and but we did it. I mean, you got to do it. We gave each of our children some money besides. Some of them are doing better than others, but it's always nice to get some money to help out with their Christmas from mom and dad, and we have our retirement savings. So, we try to take care of everybody equally. Not try, we do. Everybody gets equal.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then we'll talk to Jasmine and Troy a little bit about that and do an interview with them about how they keep it equal with all their stepchildren and that too, because they actually have a more convoluted situation than we ever did.
In our family, we have a big blended family. We have, I had one when Troy and I met, and Troy had 3. And then we have 1, we have 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a total of 6 kids in this beautiful blended family.
But keeping it fair during the holidays. Now, we both have court orders written up as far as how we're going to share the parenting time on the holidays. But really what it boils down to is being civil with the other party. Mm-hmm. So if they have something going on at a certain day, then they obviously get the child that day, and then we take them the adjacent day.
So what we did this year is it was really hard to get it all figured out, because we wanted all the kids on one day so that we can go to one or both of the grandparents' house and celebrate Christmas. So we actually had all 6 of the kids on Christmas Eve this year. And then Christmas Eve night, we had the other parent pick them up, so that way they woke up and were at their other parent's house on Christmas Day morning. So it's kind of hard to make it fair for presents and that kind of stuff, because Kyra and Emmett don't have second set of parents to get presents from. So what we did this year is we just spent a certain amount on each of the kids, and then for Emmett and Kyra, we spent just a little bit more because they weren't getting presents from other families or aunts or uncles or other grandparents and whatnot.
So the transition into that was a little difficult, because usually in the past years, all the kids got a whole bunch of stuff from us, depending. It didn't matter where they went afterwards or how many grandparents they were seeing. It was all just, it came down to a numbers game. Everybody would count their presents and make sure everybody got the same amount of presents. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
But, so transitioning into the way that we do it now, took a little more explaining on our part to the children, as far as like, look, you have X amount of more people to go see, and that's going to equal up to more presents. Now, granted, I get the materialistic aspect of it is kind of overshadowing the actual meaning of Christmas, but at the same time, children don't really understand that. So we try to make it fair in the respect that they need to understand that we have 2 other kids that don't have any other place to go other than the immediate family where they don't.
Right.
So, yeah. But it worked out this year pretty well.
I think that most of the kids understood what we were doing and why we were doing it, so it helped. It also helped that Michaela, also the oldest, made sure that the kids understood that it was fair. So they kind of look up to Michaela for the right and the wrong thing, like, oh, is Michaela happy? Okay, then we're happy too.
Yeah, right.
At Christmas time, you get presents from how many households?
From Dad's house, and then Grandma Tammy's, and then your guys' house, and then I go over to Mom's house. I get hers, my stepdad's mom and dad, my mom's mom and dad, and then my uncles and aunts.
So you're rich at Christmas.
I guess you could say that.
So now Thanksgiving, 4th of July, all the other holidays, you kind of have to address that too. 4th of July is every other year. Thanksgiving, same every other year. But again, it correlates down to being civil with the others. So in our situation, our family, my family will actually do Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving Day, where her parents will do it on a separate day. So we'll get the kids on Thanksgiving and then we'll go to her parents on a different day. Just so that we can all have family time, I guess, on Thanksgiving. And then on Thanksgiving Day, it's usually a half day. So the boys' mom will get them the night before and then keep them till about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I'll go pick them up and then we'll keep them for the rest of the night. Kind of split it that way.
We try to make it fair.
Yeah, it's a juggle. It's a juggle and a struggle, but
Yeah.
it does work out eventually. So it gets into a routine.
It took a while to get into the group.
How do you like this whole blended family thing here?
It gets crazy out
It's
sometimes.
okay.
Weird.
It gets crazy.
What's crazy about it?
Everybody's always yelling.
Do they?
Yes.
What are they yelling about?
Oh, they always yell about anything.
Does your mom and dad yell at you all the time?
Yeah, no, not her, but us. Definitely us.
They yell at you?
Definitely us.
Because you're naughty.
For sure us.
So you guys are like one big happy family, even though there's all this step-parent stuff going on, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't mind it though, do you?
Yeah, I guess not. Too.
Wow.
Oh, there's nothing really much to not like about being here, if I'm
So
being
when you-
honest.
Do you remember at our house when we insisted that you call me dad and Liz call her mom, and you guys were like completely against it?
Trevin's, so they both have called me mom before, which is an amazing thing, but we don't push any kind of, whatever you want to call me, you can call me as long as it's nice. So we don't push that on them really. Eventually, someday, they'll feel comfortable calling me mom, and that's just fine. It can be a little bit of a struggle. I'm not trying to come in and take over the whole mommy role and get rid of the other mom. So I know it was easy for Troy because he met Adrina when she was 4 months old. So she kind of just grew up with him.
Mm-hmm. But then again, on the other hand, that's just a label.
Yeah.
The mother and the father are in the eye of the beholder. So whether they choose to call her mom or me dad, it's kind of irrelevant because we take on the role and they see that we act the same way as if their other parents would, or in our opinion sometimes better and maybe sometimes worse, I don't know.
Right.
But we don't force the label on any of them.
So how do you juggle all that? I mean, you got to go here and there and everywhere. Is it like you wish there was only one place to go, or do you enjoy the whole?
Oh yeah, no. I feel like the moment I understood like why dad was over here and mom was over here and like they weren't living together, I think that was probably when I wrapped my head around it, being like, well, what if like they're still together? Like it would be so nice just to have one place to stay all the time, but instead I have two.
Do you know that's every child's dream, is that mom and dad would get back together?
Yep. And that was my dream for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, until dad probably met Jasmine and then my mom met Danny. And it's kind of just like, now I don't ever remember them being apart
Yeah.
or anything.
Do you call Jasmine mom?
Not really, no.
No. Just Jasmine. That's okay.
I call her Jay
Yeah.
or Jazz or Jasmine, yeah.
Does she feel like more like a friend than a mom? Or
Sometimes.
both in there?
A little of both, yeah. Like she is a mother to me, and like we joke around all the time.
So one thing I want to touch on, which is extremely important and very much so overlooked, is the shared parenting thing.
Yeah.
And that, it's a very unfair state, and the laws go back to, the day and age where women weren't allowed in the workplace. So we still function with those laws today, and that favors the woman as far as the more fit caregiver, and then the father as basically just the bank. Now, that's how I was running for years and years and years. I'd pay my child support, and I'd only see my kids, 4 days out of the month, and that was the way that the courts have set it up. Now we've recently changed it. How long has it been? About
I would say it's almost been
it's almost a
year.
now. It's almost been a year now, where I was awarded 50% custody of basically all the children. So that took the financial burden out of it, and it also allowed me to be a bigger part of their life. So as a matter of fact, the kids stay here more than they do there now. But going back to being civil again, I don't get agitated when I have to do something for her or for the boys to help out, because I'm not shelling out this large chunk of money and, you know, putting myself in a bad situation because of it. So, and the kids are happier for it.
Yeah.
So that alleviates so many problems.
Yes, I would
So many problems. She does a fantastic job at stretching the dollar. So, give or take, is probably about $500 to $600 a month. That's being
it all depends if it's the summertime or if it's during the school year.
Yeah.
During the school year, all the kids, all 5 of the older ones, eat lunch at school. Michaela does have a special diet, so she does bring some lunches to school. But during the summertime, I feel like our grocery bill is a bit higher, just because everybody's here from sun up to sundown. And I just feel like they eat a lot more in the summertime, using so much more energy. So I would say more so closer to 8, but I'm really aware of what we spend on groceries, so I really try to cut it down.
Yeah.
This guy taught me how to do that. So